Hurricane Milton expected late tonight into the early morning hours. And obviously, we are all now bracing for impact.
Yeah, we are. Kennedy Mason is in Iona area. She's been talking with people who live right near the coast, an area that saw a lot of storm surge 2 years ago with Ian. Um, Kennedy, what's the latest?
So I'm on Davis Road in Iona, and I'm here with Jennifer. She's staying for the storm because her husband works on Sanibel. Just talk about how you're feeling ahead of the storm.
Well, we've been really torn as to whether to leave and where to go. Our other option is an evacuation zone, and the interstates are full. So we were planning on just riding it out and moved everything upstairs, hoping for the best. We went through Ian, so hoping this one's not as bad.
And you said you were in like the Charlotte County area during Ian. What effects did you see during that?
So we lived in Northport at the time. Water came right up to our door. 2 houses down, they were underwater. We literally kayaked out of our house and around the main streets right after Ian. And I was flooded in for about 5 days. When we went to Port Charlotte, it was like a war zone. It was heartbreaking.
And we were just standing here, and you said you thought you lost power. You're expecting to lose power during Milton?
Yes, it's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. It'll definitely happen.
Yeah, and then you placed all that stuff upstairs because you think that the first floor will get absolutely flooded?
I expect it to. Hopefully it doesn't, but I expect a foot or two, maybe. Hopefully nothing worse. Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Well, we will be thinking about you and, hope those effects aren't too bad here. And we're right by the Sanibel Causeway, about 2-3 minutes. And there is a 24-hour, you cannot go on the island. It started at 10 p.m. last night, so you cannot go on to Sanibel. I'm in Iona. Kennedy Mason, NBC2.
All right, thanks, Kennedy. Let's get you caught up with the latest on Hurricane Milton, and we can track some of those outer bands now starting to get closer and closer to our coast. If you walk outside right now, I know you're going to look up at the sky, it's pretty quiet. The winds are gradually beginning to pick up. I want to touch on one thing before we get to Milton, and that is the tornado warning right there sort of on the outskirts of our viewing area. Technically, it's in effect for far northeastern sections of Collier County, and yeah, it looks like they actually issued a brand new tornado warning. Looks like it's set to expire probably, I think it's at 10 a.m. But what we're looking at here is the rotation tracker, and this shows us where we have motion toward the radar. The radar that we're analyzing this from is in Miami, and the area here in red, that is movement away from the radar. So that just tells us that we're seeing some spin inside that cell. And that happens to be right over I-75. That's why I'm mentioning it, because there is, yesterday we saw views of bumper to bumper traffic for folks trying to get out of Southwest Florida. And we're going to keep an eye on this because it is crossing over I-75, a highly traveled area where there's likely a lot of traffic. Once it makes it north of there, then we're okay. But I just wanted to check in with that tornado warning. We have some traffic cameras along the interstate that we're going to be checking in on as well. But that's the only tornado warning we currently have in effect. As we look at the bigger picture, now we're getting some much better views and vantage points of Hurricane Milton from our radar here in central Fort Myers, which goes out about 250 miles. So we can see the outer eastern part of the eye wall. This is where those peak winds are right now at 150 to 155 miles per hour. We do have, okay, I'm told we do have an FDOT camera. Yeah, okay, so let me know what mile marker this is when we do eventually take the camera, just so we have a better. Okay, I just want to make, okay, this is mile marker 51. I'm just going to walk over it so I can get a better view. It looks, yes, we do have a funnel cloud, and this is exactly the cell that we were tracking. Oh boy, across I-75. I don't know if we have any ability to move that, but you can see on the left-hand side of your screen for that tornado-warned cell, mile marker, well, repeat the mile marker again. It looks like a 51. Okay, yeah, so we're looking over toward Broward County. It looks like we have a little bit of an obstruction there. We don't have control of okay, somebody move this camera back over and so we can get a better vantage point. But at least a funnel cloud over near I-75, that's Alligator Alley. It can't be completely certain Yeah, so it looks like we can probably confirm here that there's a tornado on the ground. We're looking from the FDOT camera over far northeastern sections of Collier County right now. This is what we're seeing with the radar, some of that detection, and I hope everyone's going to be okay there. There's a lot of traffic along I-75, as I mentioned, from folks trying to get out of town. But what we have right now, we're looking live at what looks to be a tornado making it all the way to the ground. I can't see exactly what's on the ground, so sometimes those funnels are a little bit elevated. And thank you again for moving that camera. We're getting a little bit of an obstruction from the pole there, but we're going to wait until it comes out from the other side. So that is a confirmed, yeah, looks like we'll just go ahead and call it a confirmed tornado right near I-75 over Collier County. It looks like it's probably pushing just to the north of that highly congested area. And it looks like the National Weather Service, too, is saying confirmed tornado. So they're seeing storm spotters as well. If we go ahead and take our at some point, let's go to double boxes if we can do that, just so we can get a view of the radar along with the view from our FDOT camera. So let's go ahead and take our Doppler 2 source while the view is obstructed. We're going to come back to that. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're looking at, so you can kind of get an idea of the overall setup. So this is far northeastern Collier County is where we saw that confirmed tornado live just a moment ago from our FDOT camera. And that's why you see that box popping up in purple. That means a confirmed tornado. So the area that we're watching is right here. And thankfully, it looks like now that that tornado has pushed north of I-75. So here's Alligator Alley. Gosh, I hope that there's not a tremendous amount of traffic there, because we were seeing bumper to bumper traffic yesterday, and then we have that split screen as well. So that's now moving north of I-75. We can say that based on a radar detection, and this will continue to race very quickly to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So that's going to move into southern sections of Hendry County. Can we take the full screen, because I don't want to make that box too small, because I want everybody to be able to see this. Can we take the full screen of the FDOT camera again, just so we can get a view of the tornado? Yeah, there we go. And you can still see it in view on the left-hand side as we look through the trees. Thankfully, this is not a very highly populated area, but that tornado is racing over toward the north and west. So for portions of southern Hendry County, if you live in that area, southern Hendry County, go to your safe place, because we have a tornado on the ground right now. By definition, a tornado is on the ground. I realize that. But yeah, you can see that rotation inside that cloud. You want to go to the innermost part of your home if you're in this area, and go to a safe place. Get away from walls, get away from windows. These tornadoes typically don't last very long with tropical systems, but the environment that we're in right now, and that's why we have that tornado watch in place until 9 o'clock. This is going to be a possibility for all of Southwest Florida today to see these brief spit up tornadoes. And this went over far eastern Collier County. I just want to speak to those in Naples. If you are getting an alert, since sometimes, the entire county is alerted with these tornado warnings, this does not apply to you. So I just don't want a lot of folks there in Naples panicking because of the tornado warning. So we're starting to get to a point now where we can't quite get a great view of it on our FDOT camera. I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Jim Dickey, who's also analyzing it, and make sure we get Jim's mic on.
Keep the camera full, though.
Yeah.
Just wanted to point out, Jason, looks like the second little funnel there. You see the main sort of larger funnel. There seems to be a second little funnel on the fringes of it. That could be the edge of the rain shield as well. But
and it looks like there's a raindrop there. There's something on the lens too that's obstructing it, so it's hard to get.
But right behind that raindrop, yes, this sort of speaks to the strength of this rotation here. It could be multiple vortexes going around that wider spin, and also just I want you to keep that view large, but if you can quickly put in boxes the view of the radar on Doppler 2, because I just want to be sure that we can see where this storm is. Those of you watching from home, this has just moved north. There you go. If you can see that by your screen, this is just north of 75. The area of rotation, I have it circled for you. It is just west of the county line there. northeastern, far northeastern Collier County, and this is heading towards the southern side of Hendry County. Very, very strong rotation, and it looks like we have an. What is that once again? Oh, we're going to change the camera. So if you want to go ahead and take this back full, and actually you can take me at the Herc if you want, if the shot is set up. And the strong area of rotation just north of 75. Again, it just crossed the alley, and there you go. We have a very profound, pronounced radar signature of a tornado, a confirmed tornado here on the ground. This is in Collier County, far interior Collier County, lifting northward. So the good news is moving away from the alley here, and we will get indications if we had any damages that moved its way by. Let me clear that out, and you can get a better view of the area of rotation. You know, when you see that, when you see tightly packed together, that bright green, that bright red, this is called a tornado signature on radar right now. This continues to lift its way to the north and west. We're going to watch this closely, still a ways to go, but these cells have been following sort of a similar path, moving northward into Hendry County. So we'll keep a close eye on this as this lifts its way into Hendry. And eventually, I think over the next hour or so, because these are moving quickly, over the next hour or so, we'll try to work towards Lake Okeechobee. We'll be watching for those of you in the Clewiston area as that continues to work its way northward, but a very well-defined signature on radar right now, a confirmed tornado that we saw there on our camera. Guys, let me know if you get that view back into place. Just go ahead and give me a wave, and we'll take a look at that. What is the forward speed once again on this storm? 40?
Yeah, I believe it's around 40 miles per hour. That's been the track of the cells that we've seen so far this morning. So maybe we'll extend it a little bit past 40 miles per hour.
Let's go 43 and take a look at where that takes us. Try to follow the similar track that it's going right now. So that will keep us going into parts of Hendry County going forward. That's sort of the track this is going to take as we run it outside of the bounds of our tornado warning box. So again, in purple, the reason the warning is flashing purple is because this is a confirmed tornado. We saw it on camera pulling away from the alley, moving quickly to the north and west here, heading in the general direction of Lake Okeechobee, the Clewiston area. Still have a ways to go before it gets there. So if you're watching from Clewiston, especially South Clewiston, if this is able to hold together here, you want to be thinking about where you're going to go if this rotating thunderstorm does hold together as it moves towards the lake. You want to find the interior room in your home with as few doors and windows as possible, and you want to stay in that room until the storm passes, and the goal is to put as many walls between you and this storm as possible. Again, we have a confirmed tornado on the ground with this cell in interior portions of Collier County, pulling away from the alley now, and it's just about, let me actually zoom in so you can get a better view what we're talking about here location-wise. This is just about to cross into Hendry County. That is a very pronounced, well-defined rotation signature on radar. This is about to cross out of far interior northeastern Collier County, about to move into southern Hendry County. In fact, just got a new update, so let me go ahead and clear that out for you. This is right along the Hendry and Collier line now. Let's point out some of these roads for you as we zoom in far southeastern portions of Hendry County. Ceremonial Road, Molly Pritchard Road, and Highway 181 is going to sort of parallel where we have Highway 181 marked here. It's this signature right there. That is the area of rotation being picked up by radar right now as it lifts to the north and west. Let's go ahead and pop that camera back up. I don't know if trying to find a camera right now. Okay, but yes, it continues to move north and westward very quickly. So we'll be keeping a close eye on this as it tries to work its way towards Hendry County. Jason, I don't know if you see anything on your end here, or if you wanted to take a look at what you got on your end right now.
Yeah, I want to sort of go back and look at the larger perspective. We're going to keep a close eye on that tornado warning as it moves into far southern Hendry County and see if we can get eyes on that with some of our cameras. But for those of us watching a little bit farther here to the west, Charlotte, Lee, and Collier County, we've got a tornado watch up for all of Southwest Florida until 9 o'clock. So I just want to give you a better idea of how all of this is moving. And notice the direction, how everything's kind of spiraling over to the north and west. So this is actually circulating around the center of Hurricane Milton, which is still a couple hundred miles off of our coast. So any of these cells here, once we start to get, I think probably closer to lunchtime, around 12 o'clock, we're going to see more of this get near Sanibel, Lee County, Naples, up into Charlotte County, and we could see some potential tornadoes here. So this is going to be the next thing that we're going to be tracking for the rest of Southwest Florida. This is kind of the first phase of the threats, that tornado threat. We've seen multiple tornado warnings throughout the course of the day. Let me stop this from lapsing. I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what else is happening across the viewing area as we continue to track Hurricane Milton, and we are at the top of the hour. Meteorologist Lauren Hope, if you can just check on the advisory from the National Hurricane Center, since we're getting those hourly updates. I just don't want to lose sight of that to see if there's been any changes. I know we're a lot of weather computers in use here, but I just want to see if there's any big changes with Hurricane Milton. Let me zoom in back to where we're looking at this confirmed tornado, and it looks like the purple portion of this warning has now disappeared, at least on my end. So that means maybe not a confirmed tornado at this point, but we need to assume that there is a tornado. DOP 3 for Milton? Okay, let's go to Doppler 3. Let's get this new advisory in.
I have it here behind me as well.
Oh, you have it in, okay. So this is the 10 o'clock update, winds at 155 miles per hour. There's the current position of the storm. Here we are, Lee County up into Charlotte County. Now, there's no adjustment to the forecast cone yet. That'll come in the next hour at 11 o'clock. But we're at the point now where we're getting these hourly updates in terms of the strength, the position, and the movement of the storm. So I just wanted to check in with the National Hurricane Center to see if there has been any changes. So we can go back over to the Doppler 1 computer and we'll talk more about the advisory. Actually, Jim, you have it up over where you are. So let's go to meteorologist Jim Dickey, who's tracking the latest stats.
Yeah, so like you said, Jason, we're holding at 155 mile per hour winds. I think if there's one sort of big factor to take away from this advisory is that the movement continues to be to the north and east, due northeast at 16 miles per hour. So the forward speed hasn't changed all that much. And we get the full update coming up at 11 o'clock, and that will bring us the brand new cone. But for now, I'm going to try to show you this coming up in my next update. When you saw the cone, there appeared to be a pretty pronounced turn to the north. That's because, again, we're not getting a new cone just yet. This intermediary advisory just updates the position. So we'll see if they shift the cone a little further southward. We have not seen more of a move to the north and northeast yet with this. So we'll be very interested to see that. Now, I believe we have another camera view that we can take to show that ongoing tornado warning. Let's shift back to take a look again at that. If you have that camera view, go ahead and take that full, and we'll take a look at what that looks like right now. So I'm not sure what we're looking at, if we can get some indication from the producers here. This is Snake Road in Collier County.
Broward
County, yeah. Snake Road in Broward County. I'm going to walk a little closer here. I can't quite see what it is we're looking at. If there is a funnel indicated within this, this appears to be rain wrapped now, meaning you can no longer see whatever rotation that would be within it. Clearly ominous skies out there as the storm moves northward. Jason, there you go. That's much better.
That's a better view
of the lowering wall cloud. If you were with us a few moments ago, you could see the full funnel descending to the ground from that tornado-warned storm there. This is right along the Collier and Hendry County line. In fact, now lifting northward. In fact, a pretty interesting looking rotation signature. And this would kind of speak to what we saw earlier on when we were watching it from the camera along Alligator Alley. If you want to come back to me here at the Herc real quick. We are seeing multiple little areas of spin within this. It did appear for a second that perhaps there was that main tornado, but maybe a smaller little funnel going around it. I'm seeing a few areas of rotation within this one right there, another little enhanced area of spin right about there. So bottom line, there's a lot of spin in this cell, this supercell thunderstorm, a dangerous storm that is moving through interior portions of Hendry County right now, far southeastern Hendry County. I want to dive in and try to get a closer look at some of these roads. This is passing over once again the southeast corner of Hendry County now. We are talking, go ahead and shift that for you. You can get a closer view on our screen here. County Road 833 there's Molly Pritchard Road. That is where the area of rotation in particular is moving over right now. A second area of rotation, perhaps even a stronger signature, that is just north of County Road 833. We're going to continue to monitor this cell here in particular to see if that rotation holds together, working towards Lake Okeechobee and the Clewiston area. I do believe, though, we have a press conference ongoing with the governor. So again, we'll monitor this cell for you and we'll toss it over to that.
And then now to prepare and respond to this new major hurricane. The common virtue has been dedication, dedication to the task at hand, dedication to responding to help our fellow Floridians in danger, and dedication to ensuring that Florida weathers this storm and emerges stronger on the other side. We are prepared and we will respond. I've spoken to the president. We remain in regular contact with FEMA, and we are marshaling all available resources to be able to prepare and respond to Hurricane Milton. I also want to thank the 20 other states who are assisting Florida ahead of the storm. This is just what we as Americans do. We've had opportunities to help other states in the past, including most recently in Western North Carolina. And I think it shows the spirit that these states are stepping up and providing really valued support. We still have a state of emergency for 51 Florida counties. Hurricane Milton is still a major, very strong hurricane. It's currently a Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. That is just a whisker shy of a Category 5. And while there is the hope that it will weaken more before landfall, there is high confidence that this hurricane is going to pack a major, major punch and do an awful lot of damage. As you can see behind me, the Florida Division of Emergency Management is fully deployed, fully active. This has been a footing now for over 2 weeks, given both of these storms. The state is actively fulfilling over 1,500 missions. We've delivered massive amounts of supplies, meals, water bottles, sandbags, tarps, generators to be able to help our local communities respond to this storm. We've also deployed more than 11,000 feet of flood protection systems and erected them around critical infrastructure like hospitals, wastewater treatment facilities, and electric infrastructure. Generators have been deployed at shelters and to support sheltering operations. Starlink internet has been deployed across the entire state of Florida. We have surged an additional 600 ambulances, and they are currently in operation helping in the effort. The state of Florida has considerable fuel reserves ahead of Milton, and it's staged, and they will be utilized as needed following the storm. We've already dispatched a lot of fuel in the lead up to this, but we still have on hand 1.6 million gallons of diesel and 1.1 million gallons of gasoline. There is no, right now, fuel shortage. However, demand has been extraordinarily high, and some gas stations have run out. To be able to help ameliorate that, the Florida Highway Patrol has facilitated 106 long-distance fuel tanker escorts with sirens getting through traffic, totaling almost 1 million gallons of gasoline from ports in Tampa, Jacksonville, Everglades, and Manatee, and they are continuing with the fuel escorts as we speak. I'm in contact with the ports on the west coast of Florida. We'll see how this storm impacts those. Clearly, there's a chance that you could have a major impact on Port Manatee as well as on Port Tampa Bay. That could interrupt their ability to receive fuel shipments. And so we're working on contingencies to be able to keep fuel flowing throughout the state of Florida. As we saw this new storm develop, it was clear that a lot of the hardest hit areas on the west coast of Florida from Hurricane Helene had not had major, robust debris removal contracts in place or operations in place. Some of these contractors were good. Some of them were not getting the job done. So you had a major hazard on barrier islands in Pinellas, Manatee, and Sarasota County. So this weekend, I authorized mandated 24/7 debris removal. We took all the Florida Department of Transportation and other agency vehicles. brought them from all across the state, and they are engaged in other missions as their normal course of business and dedicated it to debris removal. So in a little over 48 hours, and they were working all through the night in the wee hours of the morning in places like Manatee, Sarasota, and Pinellas. They were able to remove 55,000 cubic yards of debris. So that's over 3,000 truckloads of debris. And it's our estimation that on those barrier islands, they were able to make a dent in the debris and reduce it by about 50% just from what Jared Purdue and the other agencies were able to get done. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved in that. It did not stop since this weekend. We're now in a position where it's likely the conditions are going to deteriorate. And so we're going to have to wind that down. But they did make a difference, and there will be less damage from this storm as a result of getting that debris out than there otherwise would have been. The Florida Department of Transportation is staging the following assets ahead of the storm: 156 bridge inspectors, 328 cut and toss personnel, and over 1,500 pieces of heavy equipment. Florida National Guard, Florida State Guard, Florida Fish and Wildlife, and the Florida Highway Patrol have activated additional personnel in advance of the storm. We have hundreds of state search and rescue personnel on hand, 26 total teams. They are currently embedded in the potential impact sites along the West Coast to begin immediate rescue operations as soon as the storm passes. The National Guard is deploying 6,000 Florida National Guardsmen, as well as 3,000 National Guardsmen from other states. And so we thank for the support on that. We have 34 search and rescue that have been brought in from other states. We have 500 tactical vehicles, including 180 high water vehicles, aerial, water, and ground National Guard search and rescue teams. This is the largest Florida National Guard search and rescue mobilization in the entire history of the state of Florida. Our Florida State Guard is also deploying almost 200 soldiers, 10 maritime crews, 3 high water UTVs, 2 UH-60 Blackhawk helicopters, 4 drone teams, 15 cut and toss crews, 2 amphibious rescue crews. We want to thank them. I mean, this was just a dream a couple years ago that they would be involved, and there was a lot of unfair criticism when we stood it up, but they have made a huge difference in this hurricane season. They're going to continue to do it here. We have also worked with the utilities to have the largest staging of utility workers and linemen in advance of the storm any time in American history. We will have in Florida, by the time the storm arises, over 50,000 linemen, and those linemen are being brought in from places as far away as California. So as soon as that storm passes, you're going to see the assessments and the power restoration efforts commence immediately. Additionally, the state of Florida has assisted with the evacuation of 352 healthcare facilities in the potential path of the storm. 16 hospitals have been evacuated. The state veteran nursing homes are currently located that are in the cone, are all accepting families of their residents to shelter with them. All of those are hurricane proof. All of them are outside of flood zones. So if you do have a family member that's in one of our state nursing homes, you can go and you can shelter with them. That's a safe option, and I know the veterans would appreciate it. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is directing deployment of additional 500 out-of-state law enforcement officers. These officers will help respond after the storm to maintain law and order. And there is going to be a lot of damage from this storm. There's going to be opportunities for people to try to take advantage of that. My message to you is don't even think about it. We are going to come down hard on you. You are not going to be, you're going to regret that you tried to do that. So I appreciate all the other folks from out of state who are coming in to supplement this effort. We need to maintain law and order. FDLE's mutual aid team is managing more than 70 active law enforcement missions, including identifying post-storm response squads. And these are really important missions, and we're happy for that. So we're preparing for Milton, but we're also still recovering from Hurricane Helene. When Hurricane Helene hit, we reactivated the Florida Disaster Fund. We are now accepting donations into the Florida Disaster Fund for both storms, both Helene and for Milton. This is a private fund. It's affiliated with the state in terms of disaster, but it's tax deductible donations. we distributed $63 million after Hurricane Ian to help people largely in Southwest Florida. This is something that is really, really important. So I've directed Volunteer Florida to keep the fund activated for Hurricane Milton. I want to thank, there's already been millions raised for Helene. I want to thank Lennar, Wells Fargo, Walmart, and Publix for making really significant donations. And I know there's going to be a lot more that are going to want to do it. To contribute to the Florida Disaster Fund, you can text disaster to 20222, disaster to 20222, or you can visit floridadisasterfund.org. So now we're bearing down to where the storm is going to arrive within the next 24 hours.
All right, you've been listening to Governor Ron DeSantis talking about the way that the state has been preparing and gearing up and having more resources available before, during, and after Hurricane Milton. And as the storm continues to approach, our team of reporters is spread out all across Southwest Florida to make sure that we can help get you prepared.
Sarah Mankiewicz is live right now in Punta Gorda. And Sarah, you found a restaurant that is still open right now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, us out here in the field, we've been searching for food as well, and we have had absolutely no luck, but that's until we made it here to Johnsky's House of Breakfast and Lunch. They are open right now. They are serving food. They have got their breakfast and their lunch menu open, and the owner tells me that he wanted to be open this morning because he doesn't know when his employees will get their next paycheck or when people will get their next hot meal.
Mainly because I don't know how long my employees are going to be without work. And if they can get extra day in and make a little bit of change, that's the main reason, and to serve my community.
Ski tells me that they'll be open until noon today. But for now, I'm in Punta Gorda, Sarah Mankiewicz, and we'll be right back after the short break.
You're 30 seconds away from being prepared this hurricane season. Scan the code to get NBC2's First Alert Hurricane Guide Plus, a live interactive guide that's updating and getting smarter with every storm, keeping your hurricane plans weatherproof. The NBC2 First Alert Hurricane Guide Plus, the only live interactive hurricane guide you'll need this hurricane season.
The most important part of anyone's injury case is the firm you hire. You see, all law firms are not the same. Our firm has recovered billions and billions for clients. Injured, there's only one Morgan & Morgan for the people.
Check your email. It just went on the market. Knowing how much this house means to you, I put together an offer. So good to see you. I have to show you something. Are you ready?
I'm Sheriff Morris Young. Illicit marijuana laced with illegal drugs like fentanyl have destroyed lives. I know because I've seen it firsthand. Amendment 3 will save lives by making marijuana safe, regulated, and lab tested. Amendment 3 will protect our community from dangerous illegal drugs while allowing law enforcement to focus on serious crimes. Vote yes on Amendment 3, the smarter and safer choice for Florida.
To everyone who craves a fresh meal, come have a taste of Wisconsin.
America's Dairyland,
as in real dairy.
It gives Culver's fresh frozen custard its famous rich and creamy flavor. Like really rich.
So rich. Rich and creamy.
And our cook-to-order Butterburgers?
They're topped with, you guessed it, Wisconsin cheese.
But it's the smiles we put on your face with every meal made just for you.
It really makes our hearts melt. From Wisconsin with love.
Welcome to delicious.
Enhance your view with Armor View Window and Door. From window replacements to entry and patio doors, save on your energy bills, reduce unwanted noise, and stay storm safe. The choice is crystal clear. Choose the experts at Armor View. Get 40% off when you schedule your free in-home or showroom consultation today.
All right, we're going to take you live right now to a press conference happening on Sanibel with leaders there. Let's take a listen.
You can visit Lee County's website at leegov.com. and click on the Hurricane Milton icon on the left side of the screen, and that will provide you with shelter locations and information. You may also call the United Way's emergency hotline number by dialing and get information through that service as well. Lee County will be holding a Facebook Live briefing at 12 noon today, and I would encourage all of you to watch that as well. I'd like to turn it over to Acting Chief Thompson.
Thank you, City Manager. Good morning. My name is Anthony Thompson. I'm the Deputy Police Chief for the Sanibel Police Department. It is crucial that everyone understands the seriousness of this situation. Right now, there's a mandatory evacuation in place for Sanibel, along with a 24-hour curfew that will stay in effect until further notice. To put it simply, all pedestrians and vehicular movement within the city limits of Sanibel, excluding on-duty fire, police, city employees, and authorized emergency and utility personnel is strictly prohibited. We're going to enforce the curfew without exception. Remember, these measures are in place for your safety. It's time to wrap up your storm preparations because the impact of Hurricane Milton is imminent. Your safety is our top priority. When the winds reach a sustained 45 miles per hour, emergency services will not be held until it's safe to resume them. If you've already evacuated, thank you for cooperating. If you haven't, as I've said before, please email police@mysanibel.com with the subject line, "Staying on Sanibel." Provide your name, address, and the names of those staying with you. After the storm passes and the waters recede, we will begin our search and rescue operations, and we will start with these addresses. In conclusion, I can't stress enough how important your safety is. Please stay safe, stay alert, and keep an eye on the storm. And most importantly, follow the evacuation and curfew orders. Your cooperation is absolutely vital in ensuring the safety of everyone. Remember, failing to follow these orders could seriously jeopardize your life. I'd like to turn it over to Chief Barbeau.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Fire Chief for Sanibel Fire and Rescue District, Kevin Barbeau. I want to thank Chief Thompson, City Manager Souza, and the entire staff of City Sanibel. Long hours are being put in to make sure that the public safety in the island is taken care of. And we really want to thank their leadership in moving forward here. We have a lot of flooding areas on the island. The island is extremely saturated. Our crew's been driving around all morning. Areas that normally flood during heavy rainstorms are already underwater by a few inches. Dixie, Bailey, West Gulf Drives past Rapids. Currently, Blind Pass is okay, the causeway is okay, but the conditions are going to deteriorate as we go through the day. We want to repeat what we relayed yesterday. We're looking at a 12-foot storm surge. This is a devastating storm surge. It's got the potential to have a very serious threat, not only for your life, but also for our island community. We cannot take this lightly. It is your last chance to evacuate the island. Please heed the warning. We are beginning to feel the effects right now of Hurricane Milton on the county's barrier islands, and that window for a safe departure for our residents that have decided to stay is closing fast. If you have chosen not to leave, I'll say it again, your life is in danger. Please leave. We are urging you to get off the island ASAP. Our emergency services are soon going to be unable to respond as the safety of our first responder is our main priority. Please listen to our call, evacuate immediately, and thank you for your time. I do want to approach one more thing. Once we stop operating emergency services, the Sanibel Fire and Rescue District will go into a call logging. We will take all of the calls, we will prioritize the calls, and once it is safe to do so, and as long as we don't have conditions that are unfavorable and we are able to get around on the island, we will start responding to those calls and handling them accordingly based on priority. We don't know when that time could be. It could be early tomorrow morning.
All right, so you've been listening to Sanibel emergency officials saying, hey, listen, if you're not on the island, if you're still on the island and you haven't gotten off yet, you need to. They're talking about life-threatening storm surge, and they're not going to be able to come get you if you need them. So regardless if you're on one of the barrier islands, if you're in any of those evacuation zones, Now is the time to get out if you haven't already. Now, one of the areas our team of meteorologists is most concerned with the possibility of life-threatening storm surge is in Charlotte County.
Yeah, and Joshua Cole is live and local in Englewood at the bridge of Minnesota Key. Now, two things here, Joshua. First, you say you're seeing people still driving onto the island. And second, what about the clouds there?
Look at this truck here going back onto the island. And actually, this is right after we saw someone riding a bicycle over the bridge, over Lemon Bay here, back on to Minnesota Key. We cannot stress enough the risk that is to do something like that. As we go on, that risk of that storm surge is really going to start to pick up for us right here. And it's been very interesting, even just in the last 10 minutes, watching the conditions change. I mean, right now, we are at 10:30 almost, and it actually has gotten a little bit darker for us where we are with these clouds going. And I want to actually look at the clouds. I'm hoping it'll translate on camera. They are moving fast for us at the moment. They were going straight out into the Gulf, and now they have kind of shifted northwest-ish looking for us here this morning. So a really kind of eerie conditions that we're watching. We are seeing some people coming off the island, which is exactly what we want to see here at Minnesota Key. We just had a big bout of rain for us. And again, I want to talk about that storm surge risk for us as Jason and Jim and Lauren have been going over the timeline for us of when that risk will really be picking for us up later on in the day. 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. That's quite a bit that we're looking at. And I want to really briefly show you this water line at this building from what appears from a lot of damage here is a previous storm, maybe even Helene. 15 feet, though, would be way up at the top of this. So nothing to joke about here. Very serious. We're in Charlotte County. I'm Joshua Cole. We'll be right back after this break.
Count on NBC2 to alert you first this hurricane season. First to track developing storms. First to update you at every turn. First for the information you need to keep you and your family safe. This hurricane season, count on NBC2.
Hi, Southwest Florida. I'm Kyle Lee with Lee Auto Group. If you're in need for a quality, low-mileage vehicle, we have more than anyone. Over 400 vehicles in inventory. Come visit us today or visit lee-cars.com. Don't forget the dash.
It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice Sale. Why pay more for the same weights at other gyms when you can save tons at Planet Fitness? Save $28 or more when you join today for just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th.
Planet Fitness, Strong Choice.
You must imagine after a car accident, you're overwhelmed. You actually don't know where to start. Once I was in contact with Farah and Farah, they wouldn't take no for an answer, and they would fight for the highest settlement they can get.
If Hurricane Helene has left you struggling with water-damaged appliances, Good Deals is here to help you recover as fast as possible. Our warehouses are fully stocked, and we're getting truckloads of new deliveries every day. What's more, owners Jay and Sandy Russo are offering special pricing to those affected, which means right now, Good Deals' guaranteed lowest prices are even lower. In most cases, we can deliver next day, and as always, free delivery and free haul away of your old appliances. For more, visit gooddealsappliances.com.
If you get sick with COVID-19, someone will feel all alone. Get an updated vaccine this season so you don't let down the ones who matter most. Last fall, more people were hospitalized from COVID than the flu. COVID is always changing. Protect yourself this season with an updated vaccine. Do it for you and your dinner date.
Do you have a leaky sink or a toilet that is always clogged? Don't let those plumbing issues disrupt your daily life. Call the plumbing pros at Aztec Plumbing and Drains today and get those pesky plumbing problems fixed. Aztec, the most trusted name under the sun.
Hi, I'm Kyle Lee with Lee Auto Group. We will pay the most for your car, truck, or SUV. If you're ready to trade, thinking about selling, or if your lease is about to end, give us a call today or visit lee-cars.com. Don't forget the dash.
All right, it is 10:29 right now. I want you to take a look at this because we watched this happen in real time. This was a tornado that we saw just before 10 this morning. Our meteorologists were on the air when they watched it form, touch down. They saw it on their radar. and then started tracking it right away. So this was just north of a Snake Road, close to the Broward County line. This was north of I-75. We've got Jim Dickey here. Jim, you were on the air when this was happening, and the big concern at that time in particular is people evacuating.
Right.
Yeah, it just lifted north of the alley when we had that video there. And, you know, a lot of times we talk about the supercell thunderstorms and legitimate tornadoes in some of these cells. So there is quite a tornado threat right now. The environment clearly ripe for rotating thunderstorms. Go ahead and take Doppler 1 ABC, and you can see the various tornado warnings that are out right now. Clewiston, you just got those alerts to your mobile device for the tornado warning that is now in effect for you. That's that same cell that produced that confirmed tornado earlier on as the cell was moving across Alligator Alley. So the rotation has held. We're going to stay on this cell. We're going to watch it closely as it approaches Clewiston, and we're going to jump in and stay with the storm as it approaches town. But it's still about 20 to 30 minutes away. I want you to be sure, those of you in Clewiston, that you're thinking about now the safest spot in your home to be as this storm approaches. And that would be the lowest level of your home, an interior room with as few doors and windows as possible. And you want to put as many walls between you and this storm as possible as it moves in. Again, we have a tornado warning that does include Clewiston, and that is for a storm that has a history of producing tornadoes, not just radar indicated rotation. This cell, I just showed you the video, has a history of producing tornadoes. 2 other tornado warnings on the board. One is just south of the alley. So if you know somebody who is just now entering Alligator Alley, there's another cell that'll be rolling over in the next 20 minutes or so. You might want to give them a call. And there's another cell. This one, too, had a confirmed tornado with it, video of a tornado with it in Broward County, lifting northward here, and still fairly pronounced rotation. If there is some good news, I look at velocity mode, and this is looking at how the raindrops are moving around within the cell. The signature for that rotation has fallen off a little bit. Certainly nothing like what we were seeing when that storm was moving across the alley. It's also further away from the radar, so that could be a factor here too. But if there's a tornado within that cell, right about there, this is lifting northward towards Clewiston. It will be moving quickly. It's moving about 40 miles per hour here. Switch over to our future radar. There's your cell lifting to the north. Time-wise for you, this is just about 11 o'clock. That's when that is going to move through you in Clewiston. So you have about 20 to 30 minutes in Clewiston to prepare for that cell headed your way. Again, the strategy, interior room, a closet, a bathroom. You want to limit the number of windows and doors, and that's where you're going to ride this thing out until it lifts by 11 o'clock here. A cell moving toward Clewiston with a history of producing tornadoes. This other cell is going to slide just by to the western side of Clewiston. We'll watch that for Moorhaven as we go towards 12 and 12:30. And then those cells lift out. Our models don't have additional rotating storms behind it here, so we should get a bit of a break in the action at that point in time, but we'll certainly be watching. Let's jump back and quickly talk about Milton. This is the 10 o'clock update. Northeast at 16 miles per hour. The movement, you see the eye has filled in. It's still 155 mile per hour, high-end Category 4 hurricane. The pressure has not budged since that 8 o'clock update. We're going to get a full update from the Hurricane Center coming up at the top of the hour. This is a big one because that update has a brand new cone forecast with it. What I want to do here, this moving northeast at 16 miles per hour, and the center of Milton is actually close enough for us to see on our live Doppler radar here at the station. There's the center, located about 155 miles to the south and west of the Cape Hayes Peninsula. So let's track this like a thunderstorm. Let's say that eye wall stays on that northeastern track at 16 miles per hour as its forward speed is right now. That would place the storm close to the coast of Sarasota County as you go forward in time. So you see these rain bands lifting northward out ahead of the cell. We will be dealing with that rain along the coast. It is going to be heavy at times, but there you go. That's what I'm talking about. There's that path to the north and east. If it stays on that exact course, takes this into Sarasota County, the outer fringes of those of the eye wall impacts, the major hurricane winds arriving there on that course, by 8 o'clock this evening in Sarasota. Now, does that necessarily mean that's exactly the forward speed this will continue to take? Does it mean we won't see wobbles? Absolutely not. So you can't count on that exact motion, but an idea of what we're talking about here. And further, I'm very interested to see this next cone forecast because you take a look at how the path has worked out recently. The center on satellite right about here. Note how the path looks a little strange and juts back northward. That's not because the hurricane center is expecting a quick jog to the north. It's because, as we've gotten position updates, it has fallen off the track that the hurricane center put out at 5 a.m. It's a little further to the south. You see the track taking that just south of the Tampa area, closer to Bradenton. So I will be interested to see if that track does come southward. More on that due northeasterly track like I just showed you, heading into Sarasota County. And of course, that will have implications here in Southwest Florida. A further south track that places us more in line with those major hurricane winds, and this is still expected to be a major hurricane as it makes landfall this evening. The timing, and again, this is timing out where the center will be, 2 o'clock this afternoon, 150-mile-per-hour Category 4 hurricane, still off to the south and west of our coastline. Landfall right around 2 a.m., still as a major Category 4 hurricane. And even if this does make landfall to our north, we're still talking a high risk of storm surge, a storm surge warning for our entire coastline here in Southwest Florida. We've been showing you those heights being predicted by the Hurricane Center. It's why the evacuation orders are out. We're going to try to dive in here and bring you some of those numbers county by county coming up throughout the next hour. And again, we'll be tracking that tornado warning storm as it approaches Clewiston as well. So stay tuned for the latest.
All right, thanks so much, Jim. So one area during Ian that grabbed national headlines was Fort Myers Beach because of the storm surge. Then 2 weeks ago, Helene came through, bringing more surge. And now, once again, there's the possibility of life-threatening surge with Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, so difficult for so many people there on Fort Myers Beach right now. Alexia Chiropoulos is live and local on Fort Myers Beach, where people are still recovering following Helene. Alexia?
Yeah, that's right, guys. As you can see behind me, these piles, massive piles of debris, about 20 feet high, this one, and there's a few others surrounding us here as well. Those are signs of recovery from Hurricane Helene. All these were dropped off over the past week and a half after the hurricane. And inside these piles, there's things like personal pictures and chairs, trees, as well as pieces of furniture. There looks like there's hurricane shutters in here as well. Tons of stuff. I could keep going. The list goes on in what's in these piles of debris. But the point is they're here. And the problem with this is if there is storm surge, which we're expecting within this hurricane for Hurricane Milton, these piles could just be swept through those mangroves behind us, which could cause quite the problem when it comes to cleanup later. I will say, since there's not much for houses behind us here, not as much as there could be if these were still on the Fort Myers Beach streets. Houses should be mostly protected since those mangroves are there. So if you live near Lover's Key, which is where we are right now, Lover's Key to my left and to my right is Fort Myers Beach. This is just something that obviously we saw driving by. I thought it would be important to show you guys just how much damage Hurricane Helene left behind. So this is just something that obviously we're all expecting with Hurricane Milton coming our way as well. And of course, I want to take this moment to remind you guys, if you are still on Fort Myers Beach, now is the time to get off the island. So just make sure if you are still here, take that as your warning. You don't want to wait much longer before you leave the island for safety. I'm reporting on Fort Myers Beach. Alexia Chiropoulos, back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Alexia. Well, parts of Iona saw flooding both in Irma and Ian. So as you can imagine, there's some concern with it right now ahead of Milton.
Yeah, NBC2's Kennedy Mason is there right now. Kennedy, you actually spoke to a couple people there who are concerned with Milton on its way.
Yeah, we're in Sunshine Village off Davis Road. And I'm here with Gary Carter, who lives right here. Now, you lived in this neighborhood during Ian, and you saw some major effects. Talk to me about all of that.
It's like a replay, and hopefully it's not as bad, but I lost my home here. Now I'm 13 feet up in the air on stilts. Probably the only person here in the village, I guess, going to try to survive this one up in the air, and I think I got a real good chance. My home's 180 mile an hour proof, wind proof from the engineers that drew up the plans and everything.
And, we talked a little bit about this, but you had some PTSD from Ian, right?
Yes, I still do. Just thinking back because of what's coming now. It's a scary thought. All my friends say, you need to get evacuated, get away. I got my vehicles out of here from underneath and got them a higher ground. I think I'm pretty positive that I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I shouldn't tell everybody that though.
Yeah, and we already see some water right here. Are you worried about the flooding?
I'm not, unless the water gets up to 13 feet high, and then I will be because it'll reach my front door, my floor. I'm 13 feet up in the air. That's why I moved my vehicles to higher ground. So I do have a couple vehicles left. I think that'll be safe enough. I just hope to withstand the winds and.
Well, thank you so much, Gary. We really appreciate it, and we hope you stay safe. And for now, I'm in Iona. Kennedy Mason, to the break.
We actually want to get you right out to that tornado warning still ongoing. It includes Clewiston. So we're talking about Hendry County, and we have seen a pretty significant tornado signature for this. So for those of you in Clewiston, in Aquila, in Vaughn, in Ventura Ranch Estates, you are within this tornado warning. And here's that area of rotation we're looking at. So we're seeing on our signature here a pretty significant couplet is what we would call that tornado warning in effect until 11 a.m. So I want to go ahead and tap out of that so you can see this, and I want to pixel this so we can actually see what the winds are like within this tornado warned cell. So the reason you want to be getting indoors and away from those walls and windows, we are seeing this putting out winds at around 60, 70 miles per hour. And even if we don't see a confirmed tornado like we've seen already with other storms this morning, you're still looking at dangerous, threatening wind. So let's go ahead and get down to street level here so we can see some of the communities included in this. Again, Vaughn, this right now is about to be crossing over Bowles Canal. Vaughn, you are included in that. County Road 835 and eventually toward Keela. So let's go ahead and put a track on this. We are seeing a lot of these moving pretty quickly so far this morning, off toward the north at 26 miles per hour. So this will be impacting those of you in South Clewiston at 11:07. Again, a tornado warning still in effect. We are also still waiting on that big advisory update at the top of the 11 with regards to major Category 4 Hurricane Milton. So we will get you right over to that as soon as that advisory comes in. But right now, that imminent threat approaching Clewiston, we are still looking at a pretty decent area of rotation. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of this so we can actually go back ahead and put this back on a 30-minute time lapse so you can see how this has been working toward it and if we're actually seeing this weaken or broaden. So what we look for when we're looking at this velocity product is those very vivid greens and very vivid reds, and you're seeing that at times. Really impressive signature there. Those greens are winds going toward the radar. The reds are winds going away from the radar. So you can see we have seen that a new tornado warning issued just to the north. And I want to give you the broader picture, and then I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Jim Dickey because this is not the only tornado warning we have for Southwest Florida. We have another tornado warning just to the south in Collier County, and we can go ahead and switch this back over to radar so you can see what these storms actually look like instead of just our velocity product here. So switching back over to radar, we are still looking at a lot of this moisture and storms associated with Hurricane Milton about to be lashing our coastlines here. We're going to start to see conditions continue to deteriorate heading into the afternoon. We're starting to see more of those tropical storm force winds at play this afternoon, and this storm surge threat as well as the hurricane force wind threat kicking in by tonight. All right, Jim, what are you seeing with regards to these tornado warnings back inland?
Well, again, I think a big point here is that you have 3 tornado warned storms. One of them, you see the sort of magenta flashing polygon. That's a confirmed tornado. In fact, here we go. And if one of you can jump into the NWS chat, to take a look at what we're talking about here. That Clewiston cell also just popped up with a magenta polygon, which means confirmed tornado warning. So it appears we are back to a confirmed tornado with this cell that is moving into Clewiston. Let's go back over to velocity mode. That will give us a better idea of where exactly we're talking about in the storm that the confirmed tornado would be. This is just south and west of Vaughn. This is quickly approaching the Clewiston area, riding in the south side of Clewiston. So some roads for you here. Dyke Road, Route 1. Just to the south and west of you is where that pronounced area of rotation, where that confirmed tornado is. Again, either of you, once you get whatever wording is from the Weather Service as to how they confirm that tornado, be that a spotter. But we have a confirmed tornado on the ground right now in Clewiston, moving right up Route 1, the south side of Clewiston, that is, quickly moving off to the north by about 11 o'clock. That is when this cell will move over downtown Clewiston and head into Lake Okeechobee. So again, your strategy for dealing with a tornado, and again, this is not just a radar indicated tornado, this is now a confirmed tornado on the ground in eastern portions of Hendry County approaching Clewiston. What you want to do, get to the lowest level of your home. You want to get into a room with as few doors and windows as possible. You want to hunker down and stay there for at least the next 15 to 20 minutes to let this storm pass by. The storm has a history of producing tornadoes. We showed it to you earlier on as this cell was moving by Alligator Alley. We saw the funnel on the ground. We saw the tornado from our camera there, and now a confirmed tornado once again on the south side of Clewiston. If you just got that alert to your mobile device in Clewiston, we're talking a confirmed tornado warning right now for this cell that'll move over downtown Clewiston.
Yeah, Jim, I just want to read
here this morning.
What the National Weather Service is putting out for this warning. So they said basically at 10:43, not a whole lot of new information from what you were saying, but a confirmed tornado was located about 9 miles southeast of Machura, moving to the north at 30 miles per hour.
North of 30 miles per hour. All right. So again, right there in the storms that we're talking about here. And as Lauren was pointing out, even outside of any tornado potential, this is likely producing some very strong winds at this point in time. There you go. We have a little pixel here of a 71 mile per hour gust in this cell, in this very strong thunderstorm that has a confirmed tornado on the ground in parts of Hendry County. This is the south side of Clewiston. In fact, let me zoom out a little bit so you can get a view of where we are compared to the Clewiston area right now. This is moving quickly to the north at 30 miles per hour. This will cross over into Lake Okeechobee at just about 11 o'clock.
Hey, Jim, one more thing I just want to cut in because we got some new information from the National Weather Service. The other tornado warning for Collier County is in effect. They are getting a report of a possible tornado sighting near Miles City on I-75.
Miles City on I-75. So if we could also monitor that same camera that we had earlier that is along mile marker 51, I think we're talking a pretty similar location. We might be able, if we spin it around and try to look westbound towards Naples, we might be able to see something there. In fact, if I can go ahead and zoom out, we can maybe get a better view of that cell here too. I don't want to leave you behind in Clewiston, but this is the cell we're talking about that there's perhaps a confirmed tornado with that one as well that just moved across the alley that is moving quickly to the north here too. So that's a second tornado warning. But our primary concern at this point in time is our cell that is in the Clewiston area in northeastern portions of Hendry County, a cell that is quickly moving off to the north and east. Let me clear that wind out for you, which, again, even outside of the potential for a tornado, we have indications on radar of 70 to 80 mile per hour winds on this. So you want to be hunkering down as this cell moves into town in the Clewiston area. Let's get down to street level. We can call some of these streets out, pick out exactly where it is. Our radar is indicating that strong area of rotation. This is right along Route 1. I know these words are probably very small for you on your screen, but Route 1 here going right up towards the Clewiston area. There is a Blumberg Road, Bowles Canal, a very pocket of stronger winds moving towards you right now. County Road 835 just off to the east. Lifting off to the north, there is Vaughn marked on our map here. So we're talking just to the west of Vaughn. And this appears to be on a path that would take this directly into the Clewiston area. So again, the magenta flashing polygon marks a confirmed tornado warning for a cell that is moving off to the north and northwest at 30 miles per hour, heading towards downtown Clewiston. Lauren, what are you seeing on your side? Anything you want to point out about the storm here right now?
Yeah, we are going to still be monitoring this, and as we await that 11 a.m. big update, as we go ahead and set up our hand tracker system, we are looking at still that confirmed tornado warning in effect for Hendry County. So we're looking at this in Ventura Ranch Estates, Clewiston, Keela, and Vaughn. So as I take you back over toward those areas, and we're still setting up our hand tracker. Let me go ahead and make sure. There we go. All right. So we are still looking at this just south of Clewiston. So we are seeing a confirmed tornado warning. That is not always the case. Sometimes we just see these tornado warnings pop up as we monitor areas of rotation, but someone either spotting this either in person or on a camera. So we are looking at this actually confirmed. So just west of Vaughn. And for a moment, I want to turn this back over to radar so we can analyze the actual storm that this is in. We are seeing a lot of heavy rain with this. I want to go ahead and turn lightning on as well to see if there's any lightning. All right, so no lightning with this. This is mainly just this cell that is producing this area of rotation. Sometimes you can use lightning as an overall tool to see if this is strengthening or weakening. If the overall storm is weakening, we can sometimes see that that rotation will broaden out as well. So let's take a different angle and a look at this storm from velocity here, and you can see down to street level. This is just south of Sugarton, Clewiston, Hooker Point, and eventually, if this held, this would actually be pushing over Lake Okeechobee, maybe as a water spout. So let's go ahead and put another track on this. These have been moving off toward the north-northwest at over 20 miles per hour. So still moving north-northwest now at 24 miles per hour. So this would be, if it held, approaching Harlem, 1114, Clewiston, 1117. Hopefully, as many of you are starting to hunker down for impacts from Hurricane Milton, I'm hoping even those of you inland are still indoors. And if you are in Clewiston, make sure you are putting as many walls and windows in between you and this area of rotation as possible here. So we are still going to be monitoring this. This is just the perfect example of how when we're covering a hurricane, it is not just a coastal event here. I mean, as you take a look at the broader range, we are still watching this confirmed tornado heading toward Clewiston, but I take you back to all of Southwest Florida so you can see across the region, we are starting to see some of those outer bands, all that deep tropical moisture associated with Milton lashing many of our coastal areas here. So I want to go ahead and put a storm track on a lot of this because this is heavy rain, and we are starting to see those winds starting to ramp up along many of our coastal communities here. All right, so let's go ahead and time some of these out because we are still looking at quite a bit of rain heading into the afternoon, and most of these moving off toward the northwest at about 24 miles per hour. So Boca Grande, 11 a.m., Naples Park, 11:01. Minutes away from that 11 a.m. update, meteorologist Jason Dunning closely monitoring to see when we get the latest advisory. It's a big one for Hurricane Milton. Fort Myers Beach, 11:05. Barefoot Beach, 11:05 as well. We don't have any tornado warnings along the coast, but we still are looking at those tornado warnings and that confirmed warning back inland. All right, so I'm going to send it back over to you. Jim, what are you seeing with this confirmed tornado in Hendry County?
Sure. So it appears to me, as we'll dive back in here on that area of rotation, that we are going to be just to the south and west of downtown Clewiston. That is where the rotation is right now with that cell. As we zoom again back in here on the Clewiston area, not much to be seen from the just the reflectivity, but as I dive in and switch over and we take a look at the velocity, that's where you see the strong, very well-defined area of spin within this cell. This is just off to the south and west of the Clewiston area. This is quickly pressing off to the north and west, and this is going to come very, very close to downtown Clewiston. This is a confirmed tornado. Oftentimes, when we have tornado warnings for you here on air, we bring them to you. It's because the Weather Service has detected rotation within the storm. In this case, we have a history of this cell producing tornadoes. We saw one. We brought video to you live of a tornado as this same cell was passing over the alley. It has quickly moved northward over the last hour, still holding that rotation. And that right there, just due west of Vaughn, is where that area of rotation is within this cell. This cell quickly moving to the north and northeast at 30 miles per hour. Let's get down to street level and track where that rotation is at the moment, and the areas that could be impacted by this in the next 5 to 10 minutes here. We're talking just to the west now of L1 Road, of County Road 835, right in between here, right there. That is where, if there's a tornado within this cell, we're talking. There's Keela in the corner of the screen, south and west of that, and this is moving northward at about a 30-mile-per-hour clip towards the Clewiston area. Let's go ahead and move this up a little bit so we can see some of the roads that we're talking about that this is working toward, not getting this to show up. But this is just off to the south and west of Hooker Point, where it's marked on the map. Again, quickly moving to the north, a confirmed tornado on the ground in northeastern Hendry County, approaching the Clewiston area. So if you're watching from Clewiston right now, from downtown Clewiston, what you want to do is be sure you get into the safe space in your home. The strategy for that is the lowest level of your home and an interior room. So I think a closet, think an interior bathroom, perhaps even an interior hallway. You want to limit the amount of doors and windows here as this cell approaches. You know, even outside of the rotation within the cell, of the potential funnel within the cell, we're clocking winds a ways away from the radar, but we're clocking winds at 80+ miles per hour with this cell. I don't think it's out of the question. We're seeing wind gusts in that range as this moves in. So even outside of any damage from a tornado, straight line wind damage comes into play here too. And this is not a cell you want to be messing around with in the Clewiston area. You want to be sure you're hunkering down and staying put until this passes by. I believe we just got a new update on that tornado warning. If there's any information any of you see from the Weather Service on that, go ahead and jump in and bring that to the people. But there you go. We're talking just to the south and west of Clewiston. There's your area of rotation. We're going to stay with this as it moves its way towards the Clewiston area. There is Gate B Road. This is just to the west of that. This very strong area of winds being detected by the radar. I just clocked it for you, around 80 miles per hour. South and west of Clewiston, due west of Keela and Vaughn right now. Moving off to the north and northwest at 30 miles per hour. A confirmed tornado warning for a cell that has a history of producing tornadoes. Again, when this was over Alligator Alley, we saw the tornado for ourselves on camera. This cell has been rotating like a top ever since. And as such, if you're watching from the Clewiston area, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, this cell will be moving over Highway 25 and will be crossing into Lake Okeechobee. As it does, you want to be sure you are staying in that safe place in your home, that interior room, limiting doors and windows here. And Jason, whenever you get the 11 o'clock advisory, because we know that's coming up in just a couple of moments, is it in? All right, so we're going to stay on this cell. I'm going to keep monitoring it. Again, those of you watching from Clewiston, stay in that safe space in your home, that interior room, limiting doors and windows. Stay there until the storm passes by. But we do want to get you the very important information coming in from the Hurricane Center, the 11 o'clock update on Hurricane Milton. For that, I'll send it over to Jason. He's at the wall.
All right, going through some of the latest information, we have seen some weakening, winds at 145 miles per hour, down from 150 miles per hour. It's still an incredibly powerful hurricane. So even, I hate to use the word weakening because it's still very, very strong, and it's likely going to come in as a major hurricane. We've seen the speed, the forward speed pick up a little bit, moving to the northeast at 17 miles per hour. The pressure has been coming up. It's at 931 millibars. And just to kind of let you know how the pressure works, the higher the pressure, the weaker the storm or the less intense, the lower the pressure, the deeper and the stronger the storm. So we are seeing some weakening trends, but this is not a storm that we expect to weaken very quickly. It's dealing with some wind shear, but you can see the path that the storm has taken. We're keeping a very close eye on the exact track to see if there's any kind of shifts or wobbles, which is fairly common to see with tropical systems. And we're at the point right now as it approaches the Florida Gulf Coast where miles matter a ton, even if it's just about 20 to 30 miles. With this 11 o'clock update, we also have an update to the forecast cone. I'm not seeing any major changes with this, except for the fact that the Hurricane Center has decreased the intensity as it moves on closer to landfall with 125 mile per hour winds. That's a Category 3 storm compared to what the previous advisory had coming onshore closer to a Category 4 storm, but we're only about a 5 mile per hour difference. So at that point, we're, kind of just splitting hairs. The impacts are going to be the same regardless. I also want you to see with the forecast cone all of the colors covering Florida. This is going to be a system that impacts the entire state, and where you see the areas shaded in red, that is a hurricane warning. That's where hurricane conditions are expected. I know a lot of you want to know, when is the worst part of the storm? When is the worst of the weather going to arrive where I am? Conditions will deteriorate as we head through the day today. First, we're going to see those tropical storm force winds, and then potentially some of this hurricane force wind gusts as the storm gets closer to us, and that will start by tonight into tomorrow morning. So we do expect to see landfall tonight. There's that 8 o'clock position. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I just want to make sure that you're taking this all in, and we're going to continue to take a look at and get into the latest information, because this is the advisory when the Hurricane Center just releases a lot of new intel on the storm. You can see here's the current position. I just want to show you a closer view from the vantage point of Southwest Florida. So there's Cape Coral, Naples. If you're in Lee County and you see that you're not in the cone, because most of Lee County, all of Lee County, not technically in the forecast cone of movement, but even a landfall just to our north, if it stays in the center part of the cone, would bring devastating storm surge to Lee County, and even more so for Charlotte County, and storm surge also for Collier County. And we've been telling you for the last several days, that is by far going to be the biggest impact. We're starting to see some of these outer bands move closer to the coast and the more populated areas of Collier County, Lee County, including Cape Coral, and up into Charlotte County. And the NBC2 First Alert Live Doppler radar now first detecting the outer eye wall of Hurricane Milton. That's what you see right there with that curvature. So this is where those peak winds are found at 145 miles per hour. As it continues to track to the northeast, there's those tornado warnings that we have in place for inland sections of Southwest Florida. We're going to get back to those here in just a moment. But for those of you watching in Cape Coral and our coastal counties, I just want to give you a better idea of when the first wave of rain, essentially the first feeder band, will start to arrive in our area. And that's going to happen in the next couple of hours. So watch the time. This is our 2-hour future cast. Here's a look at 12 o'clock. So as we've been saying, I think probably about an hour from now, some of these cells, which could potentially be rotating, will start to move in from Naples, Coconut Point, Bonita Springs, up into Cape Coral, Fort Myers, essentially along US 41 and along the west of I-75 up into Charlotte County. So I just want to give you that first alert, that heads up that we are looking at the first wave of rain, those feeder bands from Hurricane Milton. And inside those two, we could see tropical storm force wind gusts up above 40 miles per hour. And then you can see closer to 1 o'clock, the hope is at least that we get a little bit of a break. I'm going to step aside just for a moment, just because I want to verify that these numbers have not changed, because the National Hurricane Center, when they release these major advisories, these full advisories, sometimes they also update the storm surge values, which are already quite significant for our coast. And I'm just kind of eyeballing this here. Okay, it looks like they left the storm surge values the same. But still, this is pretty considerable. This is going to be a major event for our coastal communities and any areas with Gulf access As the storm moves closer to us and the winds turn on shore, it's going to start to funnel water up the Caloosahatchee River, pushing water up against the coast of Naples, and then the same deal up into Charlotte Harbor and the coast of Charlotte County right along the Cape Hayes Peninsula. You can see the area shaded in purple. That's where we're expecting as much as 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. That is water above dry ground. I know we've been getting a lot of questions about this, but when the National Hurricane Center issues surge forecasts, it's expressed in feet of water above dry ground. So don't think about elevation or sea level or tide levels. This is all taking that into account. We're going to get a lot more detailed about the surge aspect of the storm because I know there's a lot of questions about it, a lot of confusion. We've been getting your questions through email. I want to take some live shots right now. This is a view we looked at just a couple of weeks ago as Hurricane Helene was passing uncomfortably close to our coast when it was 200 miles offshore. And now we're starting to see conditions deteriorating for the Matlacha Pass. You can see the camera is shaking there. So the wind's beginning to pick up as those tropical storm force winds get closer and closer to our coast. Here's the view from Fort Myers Beach, Margaritaville Beach Resort. I don't think we're going to see that surge threat start until we get into the afternoon today, probably mid to late afternoon for Fort Myers Beach. So this is a camera we're going to be checking in on. And hopefully you have listened to all those evacuation orders. There is no reason for anyone to be on Fort Myers Beach or any of the barrier islands over Southwest Florida because we're going to see water pushed up and over those land masses. Now, also, I know a lot of you are thinking about, hey, I live inland. Am I going to see that kind of surge across our inland communities? The way it works with storm surge is we see the peak surge right along the coast. So those numbers that we're showing you, that 10 to 15 feet for Charlotte County, that's right along the coast. The 8 to 12 feet that we're talking about for Lee County, that's closer to the barrier island. So those numbers will drop as you go farther up the Caloosahatchee River. So we're not all going to see those values. So I just want to make sure that's clear that you're not thinking, hey, we're all going to see several feet of storm surge. That's just the peak surge numbers for those most vulnerable for storm surge. Okay, let's talk about the winds right now because we are starting to see those wind values come up. Gusts up to around 35 to 40 miles per hour, close to tropical storm strength. I want to time out the winds for you and when we're going to see the peak winds in our area. So the area in yellow, you can see those yellow shadings closer to about 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. That's when we can expect those tropical storm force winds to arrive in Southwest Florida. So around 40 to 45 miles per hour. That's manageable. It's when we start to see those winds get up over 60, 70 miles per hour that can cause some damage, especially as the winds start to move onshore. And you can see that's going to happen by this evening and tonight. There's the core of the storm, and hopefully it stays that far north of us. If it were to deviate at all, which is still a possibility, I'm not trying to scare you, just to prepare you, but we could see some slight shifts in the track, and even those subtle slight shifts can make a difference in terms of the impacts that we're going to see here locally. All right, so let's get back to the timeline of those peak winds. 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, wind gusts up to hurricane strength around 78 to around 80 miles per hour from Cape Coral up through Punta Gorda, and even into tomorrow morning, we're really concerned with storm surge as those winds blow onshore. Tropical storm winds continue into Thursday early afternoon, and then you can see those areas of yellow begin to fade away and dissipate as the storm races off to our north and northeast. But that's the wind timeline. We've talked about the surge timeline. I think I have something else that I want to show you here that really drills down into the surge. And then I'm going to send it back over to meteorologist Jim Dickey for a check of the tornado warnings that we have in place. But I know that the biggest thing with this storm is surge. So as we go through the rest of the 11 o'clock hour, the storm surge threat will be low. You can see, though, it increases throughout the afternoon and into the evening. The south-facing islands, so barrier islands south-facing, like the southern end of Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, even part of the island is kind of facing down to the south and west. Marco Island, those areas will start to see the storm surge first as we get into the middle part of the afternoon. And then the peak surge numbers that we've been talking about will happen most likely after sunset tonight, 11 o'clock tonight, 3 o'clock in the morning. You definitely want to be in a safe place by then. Hopefully you're already there, but I just want to let you know, you still have some time to get out of those areas that we expect to see flooded. Very high storm surge impacts through 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. We're actually getting into a high tide cycle right around sunrise tomorrow. So I think the surge will be pretty bad in the morning, in particular across Charlotte Harbor and for portions of Lee County, and then high through 3 o'clock. And then we start to see improving conditions in the surge department as we get into the late part of Thursday. So that's the storm surge timeline. I'm going to go ahead and continue to analyze some of this new information coming in from the National Hurricane Center with this new advisory. I'll send it back over to meteorologist Jim Dickey.
A very dangerous situation setting up here in Clewiston right now. We're talking just west of where Clewiston is marked on our map. This is US Highway 25. A lot of color on your map here, but what you're seeing, winds racing away from the radar we're using here to show you this, the Doppler radar in Miami. Very strong winds racing away, weaker winds to the west. We have a pronounced area of rotation in a cell that has a history of producing tornadoes. In the corner of your screen, I'm going to keep this locked in here. This is the track that our model is picking up on, that our computers are picking up on. This would place the area of rotation over Moorhaven in 1134, at 1134 that is. So we'll be watching for that. Right now, though, the area we're talking about, right along 25, this is County Road 720. There's Sugarton, and this is 25 going into downtown Clewiston, right along the banks of Lake Okeechobee, a tornado-warned storm with a storm that has a history of producing tornadoes. We had one confirmed tornado reported with it as it was moving away from Alligator Alley. We actually saw it on camera. We brought it to you live here on NBC2 and ABC7, and then a second confirmation of a tornado touchdown just south of Clewiston. So if you're watching from Sugarton, if you're watching from Clewiston right now, anywhere along US 25 east of Highway 27, I want you to be in your safe place now, in that interior room, in your home, limit the doors, limit the windows. You want to put as many walls between you and this tornadic thunderstorm as possible. We talk about all the time in these landfalling hurricanes how we have quick spin-up tornadoes. That's not the case with this one. This has the classic look of a strong, potentially strong tornado within this. So this is not a storm you want to be messing around with. You want to be sure you are staying in that safe space in your home. We just got a new track in, so let me go ahead and grab that for you. We are seeing that moving to the north and west still quickly at 26 miles per hour on that track. And I agree with this. That would keep this to the east of Moorhaven. I know there's a lot on your screen here, but Moorhaven at the top of your screen, this is the area we're watching for rotation here, moving just to the west of Clewiston. We have some very strong winds being detected in Sugarton right now. In fact, let me go ahead and grab those winds for you to give you an idea. In the broader rotation in this cell, this thing is spinning like a top, and we're talking 88 mile per hour winds being detected by that. There's a brand new update, and the winds coming down a little bit. This is right along the banks of Lake Okeechobee now. This is County Road 720. There's Sugarton marked on the map. This has now moved north of 25. There's a tornado within this cell. It is likely right about here, just crossing over US 25, west of downtown Clewiston, working northward towards Liberty Point, towards Lake Okeechobee. So this will be moving over the lake momentarily here. This is going to stay, the area of rotation is going to stay east of Moorhaven. But the area around US 25, I still want you to be hunkering down. Give this another 10 minutes to clear out of town before you do move out of your safe space. Let's dial in street level some of these roads here where this area of rotation is tracking over. Try to get a clearer view of what we're talking about here. Again, this is just west of County Road 720 is where we are tracking this storm. That is a storm that has a history of producing tornadoes. Once again, confirmed now tornado on the ground with the cell that is racing to the north and west of Clewiston toward Lake Okeechobee. So this is going to move over the lake, technically become a water spout as it does. But we also have additional tornado warnings here. Another to the east of Immokalee. You see where those cells are tracking to the north and west. Those areas of rotation, there's actually two of them in those cells. Those are going to stay off to the east of LaBelle, but we'll be watching those cells for the Palmdale area. And then real quick too, I want to zoom out and take a look what's going on by the coast, because we have the first true rain band from the storm, from Milton, that is just about to move its way on shore, and this thing is formidable. We have a line of those supercell-like thunderstorms along that rain band, paralleling the coast now, lifting northward. In fact, as I go over to velocity mode, we can see a number of areas of spin within this. Can track them for you. There's one right there. There's one right there. There's another right there. Multiple areas of rotation within this rain band, lifting northward towards the coast. So I clear that out. I want to take a look at some of these tracks. This one is going to clip right by Boca Grande. And make sure you got that up in the corner of your screen there. 11:39 is when that will be clipping by the Lee County Islands. These cells are racing along this rain band, which is what we often see in these rain bands around a hurricane. We see those fast moving cells being whipped around the broader rotation of the storm. Another area of concern, another area of rotation here. I want to dial in on those times. So a cell within that rain band that is showing some rotation would not be surprised to get a warning on this one as it moves in. Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, of course, you should be evacuated from any of these points, but if you're still trying to get your things together and still trying to get out here, you're going to want to hold tight for a little bit and wait it out as these cells move in. We've been telling you, around lunchtime is when conditions are going to start to go downhill. Here we are at 11 o'clock, and conditions are starting to go downhill as that first rain the southern end of Pine Island, and we're going to watch this for the Cape. This only goes out to 11:40, but as we go into the noontime hour, that's when that cell will be moving into parts of Cape Coral. So again, your tornado strategy, and as I go over this, let's dial back into our cell that is pulling away from Clewiston right now. You want to find an interior room. You want to sit tight until that tornado warned storm moves by. An interior room, limit doors and windows, and hunker down. Stay there until it is safe, until the storm moves out. Let's switch back over to Miami's velocity, as that has a much better view. There you go. So Liberty Point. If you are watching from the Liberty Point area right now, this is right along the dike. There's County Road 720. It's this area of brighter color right here, brighter color next to the darker color. That is where the tornado is within this cell, and this is moving to the due north and northwest quickly at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. So those of you near Liberty Point, the tornado, the confirmed tornado is off to your west, moving by. You want to stay hunkered down in that safe space, in that interior room, as this does quickly lift its way into Lake Okeechobee. If there is some good news here, yes, this is going to pull away from downtown in short order and move out over the lake. That area of very, very strong winds. As I sort of pixel this for you, try to detect the winds. We are still talking winds being picked up 75 plus miles per hour within this tornadic thunderstorm that is now moving its way into Lake Okeechobee, that is going to pull away from Clewiston. We're going to stay with this for those of you watching from Clewiston until the threat has passed. Just got a new update. Moorhaven. If you're watching from Moorhaven, let me reset my view here so you can get a closer look. This area of rotation is just off to your east. So there's Moorhaven, but this is the area we're talking about.